Let me first apologize because I know that COVID rules has made the sitting arrangement here a little difficult for some of our people. There are so many people down there who ought to be on the high table. But because they've told us that we can't have more than 6 to 7 people over there, so I want to please apologize to my good friends and all the big men in this hall that please take us as you see us. Now to the book. Every man's life is a series of events which you can liken to chapters in a book. And the chapters continue being written as you go on. So I'm now 66 today, and I wanted to put down all the things that happened till I became about 42 to 43. So, so many of the things that have happened for the past 15 years or so, I haven't put them down. So I got another book coming, and I look forward to that one, assuming you read this one and ask for the updated edition. Secondly, I try to say that a few things that we have forgotten, and I put it down in this book. One, why is it that we had a better life? We had pipe-borne water. We had electricity 24 hours in the 60s. And now it is 50 years, 60 years later, and every person has to have a borehole in his house. So he becomes his own NEPA, generating power for himself, becomes his own water board, bring himself. And why would life be like this? I try to capture part of the reasons why we are where we are today. Thirdly, I also try to capture that there was a Nigeria where it said in our former anthem that though tribe and tongue may differ, in brotherhood we stand. And I listed out that the first part of my career as an academic, I was interviewed and employed in Edo State. Nobody asked me where I came from. They just took it on merit. When I went to work in SUA, nobody also asked me where I came from. In fact, it was a man from the Southwest called the Faturoti who made sure that we were employed. At the time that I was promoted, it was a man from Sapele who also made sure that he promoted me above and just on merit, which means that what we have done is that we have a big Nigeria that has continually regressed and regressed, and now all of us are into our ethnic enclaves. And if you don't go to your ethnic enclave, you won't be able to survive in Nigeria today. So I was also looking at the possibilities of Nigeria that we may have, assuming each and every one of us is committed to the country. And of course, finally, I try to put out one thing. I think that if you're not well brought up at home, there is nothing you can do when you're outside. You're not going to learn it from outside. And in one of the memorable quotes that is in the book, which is also in that cake there, is remember the son of who you are. In other words, you can take it both ways. It can be an admonition. It can also be praise. If you're doing well, people will say, of course, we know the son, we know the father, therefore we know he will be this. But if you're not doing so well, the question will also be, whose son is that? So in both sides, it's very necessary for us to know our roots, know where we came from, and know the underpinning that has brought each and every one of us to where we are. So I will commend you to take a look at a story of an ordinary person, a small boy, whose only dream was to be a big man. And today, he is part of Nigeria. Thank you very, very much.
Your Excellencies, distinguished National Assembly, honorable members of National Assembly, the big man that we all gathered here, mine is a very simple one, is to welcome all of you that are here, and I'll say good day to you all. I'm actually here in what I consider a dual capacity. One is as a representative of the PDP national leader, today, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, and then in my own capacity as the chairman. I'm even, in both cases, I'm honored, but even more deeply honored because of the personality involved that brought all of us here today, the big man, Enyinnaya Abaribe. Enyinnaya Abaribe represents what a legislator should be globally: a lawmaker, a law defender, and always he exemplifies what we should be in public office. Always having the courage to speak against injustice, falsehood, marginalization, and most importantly, speaking truth to power, which is very difficult, especially in our dear country, where doing so could be seen as an offense, a grave offense. I know that myself, because I know what I go through whenever you speak or whenever you speak in public or do any sort of an interview. You will see people asking you, where did you get this figure? How did you arrive at this figure? How did you come about this? It even happened to me just this morning, not yesterday, just this morning. Because I saw where MBS said that if you have 137,430 naira, you live above poverty. I said we can't have our own standard that is different from the global standard. The global standard said what you need every day is $1.90. If you translate it to the real market, which I called it's almost 10,000 naira a day. But our own is 300 and something naira a day. I said it won't work. Our standard won't be different. So I know what the Enyinnaya Abaribe goes through. And I encourage him and all of us to continue. I look forward to reading this wonderful book. I'm sure Made in Aba will be, for me in particular, I want to be a big man. So I will learn a lot from the book on how to be a big man. And also learn some tricks about how to manage persecution whenever you speak truth to power. Once again, you're most welcome, and I'm sure God will grant us a very successful event. Thank you, and God bless all of you.
Thank you, Your Excellency.
Your Excellencies,
distinguished senators, honorable members, and very distinguished people that are here, I'd also like to recognize your Royal Majesties that have come from my state. Leaving Abia and coming here is not easy. You are all welcome. It is a pleasure to be present here today to witness what my junior brother is doing. He has written his life history, which is not easy. If you think it is easy, take pen and paper and give yourself a topic on essay and know how long it will take you to start and conclude. So what he has done is appreciated by me and by all. The purpose of this book is one. Let us know who distinguished Senator Enyinnaya Abaribe is, what he was before until he became the minority leader in the Senate. He has said that. Secondly, what I'll take away from here is when I leave here, I know that I must have, after reading that book, taken some tutorials on how to be or not to be a deputy governor. Yes, of course, it's an important aspect of his life because I was there with him in Government House when everything happened. And I know he will not miss that aspect. Please try and take time to read this because it will guide you in life. Assuming you are aspiring to be a deputy governor or somebody becomes a governor and picks you as his deputy. After reading that book, you will know how to meander. On that note, I want to honestly thank my junior brother for what he has done. The chairman of the occasion has come here and told you about him. I know that, and he is exhibiting that. It's not what we are coming here to say, but the important one is this one that I have told you. Please, keep it up, distinguished senator and minority leader. Thank you, and God bless every person.
Please hold on. Hold on, I have too much paper with me. Hold on.
Your Excellencies, the special guest of honor, Mr. Chairman, the author, and your dear wife, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Well, the very compelling Ochendo had told us that he had said the most important thing. He said that what he said is the most important thing you take out of the book. So apparently, my responsibility will be to say, on Ochendo's position, I stand. But I want to commend Senator Enyinnaya Abaribe for having the courage, as usual, to put pen on paper, to articulate his ideas, to articulate what he's gone through in life in his book. Senator Abaribe is a bold and very courageous man. He represents every inch an Igbo man. And so for our climb, we as Igbos are very proud to have Senator Abaribe as one of us. So there haven't been when men of timber and caliber are walking, you cannot but pause for a while. Having been part and parcel of National Assembly for 12 years, I want to say that the shoes we left behind, Senator Abaribe, you've done very well to always keep the National Assembly in positive light. We pray that many more of you will continue to represent us effectively. And for the book you've done, I have not had the privilege to read it. I will read the book, I will digest it, and I'm very certain I will have a few things to pick from there. But let me, on this note, urge all of us, including myself, to also find time and have the courage to put things on paper for the generations that will come after us. On this note, I say congratulations, and may God bless all of you. Thank you.
Senator Enyinnaya Abaribe, Mwaga ndị Igbo, and Mrs. Abaribe, virtuous woman of God, I greet and honor both of you. We at Nkata Ndị Igbo extend our warm congratulations to you on your book presentation made in Aba. As an autobiography, we believe that the title of the book is not just for the fun of those 3 words, made in Aba. It carries with it the pride of our heritage and by extension, Nigeria's heritage. Aba is significant to Ndi Igbo for many obvious reasons. It is the hub of Igbo industrialization and industry. For us, Ndi Igbo, Aba evokes strong patriotic emotions for all of us, as that city stands in history as the beacon of female activism and leadership that culminated in the Aba Women War in 1929. A very profound historical event of the century that is today an inspiration to us women, especially at Nkata Ndị Igbo. While we congratulate you, we wish to remind Ndi Igbo that we at Nkata are ready to partner with our men for good leadership and development of our Igbo, as we stand on the historical significance of those Aba women who sacrificed their lives for the progress of not only our Igbo, but Nigeria as a whole. We are determined as women to stand up to be counted in the development agenda that will be as inclusive as it is historically rooted in the Igwebike spirit of Ndi Igbo, in ways that can revive those industries that made Aba tick and provide employment for us and our youths. Today, Made in Aba has a deeper commercial relevance of patriotism and beauty than the past denigrated allusion to product inferiority by detractors. We at Nkata wish again to congratulate you for being proud of your heritage, our heritage, enough to own those 3 words that could mean different things to different people. To us, Aba is home, and we as women are very proud of both the town and its people, and that you, Enyinnaya, Mwaga Ndị Igbo, Eziokwu bụ Ndụ, you have proudly represented Aba globally. We are very proud of you. Thank you, and God bless you, and God bless Aba.
Our very distinguished chairman of the occasion, His Excellency former governor of Anambra State, Governor Peter Obi, the governor of Abia State, my friend and my brother, His Excellency Governor Okezie, distinguished Senator Enyinnaya Abaribe. Well, this COVID it has made everybody a masquerade. And you need a lot of energy, a lot of effort to recognize people when they are fully masked. But I know I can see our leader, the former governor of Abia State, Ochendo Global. The former governor of Edo State, Senator Professor Seremio Simba, the former majority leader of the Senate, my brother, distinguished Senator Ndomeba, the former governor of Imo State, Your Excellency Chief Emeka Ihedioha. If I can see Ojelibo, I can recognize him, but sincerely, with the mask, it's difficult to identify the very distinguished dignitaries here present. I am sure I would have been mistaken not to have recognized the philosopher of our time, our own brother, Professor Well, you know, when you have a big Iroko in the house, at times, if you can't call his name, call his attention. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let me sincerely apologize for coming late. For me, this event was very, very, very important to me. I have always believed that people should tell their stories by themselves. If you don't tell your story by yourself, by the time other people will tell your story for you, you will not recognize yourself. So I think it's on the right path that distinguished Senator Enyinnaya Abaribe and the family decided to tell his story by himself. Oga, I salute you. Let me say that before I started coming, I saw a social media platform where they say that you should describe Senator Enyinnaya Abaribe in one word. And I was tempted to simply respond to that without being here, but I had a compulsion to be here. And I responded quickly. He is a colossus. I don't know how else to describe a man of many parts. And that was why when I was trying to recognize him, I did take our minds back to where he started. I got to know him first and foremost as a deputy governor in Abia State. And while a deputy governor in Abia State, he was a strong deputy governor. The speaker said that when the book is read, the book must be controversial. I think the controversy the speaker is talking about started in his days as the deputy governor of Abia State. But I think also I need to say that a public life without controversy is not complete. There must be something, there must be a time you will challenge the status quo. There must be a time you will take a stand that everybody must not be comfortable with. There must be a time you will stand out, whether people like it or not. And I think that would have dotted the history of Senator Abaribe. It's a history that is dotted with firm conviction on issues, whether the crowd goes the same way with him or against him. He will stand his ground, he will make his point, he will push his point, and he will defend his point. My brother, I wish to be like you. Let me also say that I am privileged to be here today. I have not read the book. When I came in, the former governor of Imo State was speaking. He did say he had not read the book. I have not read the book. But I know that if I read the book and read through the stories of Senator Abaribe, told by Senator Abaribe, it will make an interesting read. It will be an inspiration to many, more particularly for the younger ones who are coming up. There is something I see in a man that attracts me and endears me to that man. And that is actually my admiration for Senator Abaribe, which many would not know. Your ability to take decisions. Not what you have, not what you open your mouth to say, but the decisions you make and how you stand to the end on those decisions. If there is anything I know Senator Abaribe about, and if there is anything I want to see in the book, is how he has navigated through his public career, the decisions he had made at various points that were not convenient and comfortable with many, and he stood on those decisions to the end. I know that today people think that politics is about your ability to move to this side or ability to swerve. But Senator Abaribe, I want to read your book, the history of your life told by yourself. It will inspire me, it will encourage me, and it will make me more be like you. I thank you.
His own message.
I want to hide behind the comments of the former Senate President to say that an attempt to do a protocol list here will fail me because I can't even recognize the people that are in this room. But I know that Senator Enyinnaya Abaribe and his dear wife, they are here, and permit me to also use the former governor of Anambra State to reach all former governors that are here. It will be comfortable for me to hide behind Ochendo to reach all distinguished senators that are here. And my big brother, Professor Patu, told me, through him, permit me to reach other very, very distinguished personalities that have graced this occasion. I share in the joy of today's event because I understand the importance of history in the development of a people and a nation. I'm happy that we are trying in Nigeria now to return history to the curriculum of our secondary school education system. Yes, if Senator Abaribe fails to tell his story, like somebody said earlier, by the time others tell the story, he will not be able to recognize himself anymore. But in this book, though I have not seen or read it, I think that the caption points to something, and that is the tenacity and never die spirit that Abba exudes, represents and reflects. And that encapsulates the personality of distinguished Senator Enyinnaya Abaribe. Abba does not bother about taking a fall because Abba is sure that it will rise all the time it falls. And Abba is not intimidated by anything. Figure, size, whatever. That is why we are better traders than the Lebanese, and we produce everything that China can produce. These are some of the things I think one can glean from the book. I am particularly happy also, and I I am very proud of his accomplishments, especially on the score of this book, because I've been trying to write a book since the past 7 years, and a 10-chapter book, I'm still in chapter number 7. But it will shock you that the book is in biochemistry, because that is what I understand more than anything else. Someday I pray and hope that I'll be like him by the time my book is ready. Finally, I want to recommend that every person in this room should please get hold of this book, go through it and read it, and push it to as far as you can, because he has kept all of us guessing. For me, I'm looking at the resilience and the can-do spirit of the Aba people as what is going to be reflected in that book. Others say that it's going to be a deep study in how to be a deputy governor and how to be a governor, a good governor to your deputy. So all of these are perhaps aspects of the various lessons we are all bound to learn. I want to end my speech by volunteering for the first time. For those who will think that the man coming behind the microphone to speak as governor of Abia State is a drunkard. Permit me to say that I don't drink at all, and I don't begrudge those who drink. In other places, even countries that have less problems, they discuss big issues of security, big issues of economic development, big issues of infrastructural development. They don't talk about what people do and what people do not do. And for us leaders, it is a calling. If you are called to lead, you are also called to be a mentor to the young ones. And what you say, how you carry yourself, and the things you say at the times you say them, speaks a lot about how serious you are as a person. That will be the size of my response. And I will end by borrowing what Chinua Achebe said in his book. If a madman picks your cloth while you are in the bedroom and takes off, and you go after him naked, nobody will know who is mad after all. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you, Your Excellency.
Mr. Chairman of the occasion, I would like to stand under the protocol authored by the former Senate President, Dr. Ayim. I want to use this opportunity to apologize on behalf of the Senate President. I still believe that he may show up before the end of this program, because I know how close he is to Senator Abaribe, and in our leadership meetings, I know how they throw jabs at one another. I'm sure he would like to be here today. And let me congratulate Senator Abaribe on the launch of this book. Like many other people, I have not read it. But one thing I'm likely to see in the book, if that there be a list of companies in Aba, and all of them ending with international. So you will see Chinedu and Co. International, Odumegu and Co. International. And of course, if you see the products of the Aba people, you'll be proud as a Nigerian. They will compete with anything coming from China. So I think the title international is very apt. And one thing I know about Senator Abaribe, what caught my attention first was when he was the chairman of Senate Committee on Communication. And I always refer to him as the voice of the Senate. And he did us very, very proud. The other thing is his passion for Made in Aba. He's so passionate about it. He talks about it everywhere. So I'm not surprised that he's writing a book on Made in Aba. I want to say that Senator Abaribe is somebody I have respect for, high respect for. Just as the former Senate President said, he's a man that you can trust. He will speak his mind on issues without any sentiment. I knew him when he was on the other side. I know him when he's on this side. And I respect him very much. I have not had anybody said anything about donation, so I will not, open that door. But I'm sure that being our respected colleagues and somebody whom we hold in very high esteem, every senator will want to have a copy of this book. And so when that decision is taken, it will be communicated to Senator Abaribe. One thing again is that when I came into Senate and I was told that Senator Abaribe was a former deputy governor, I found it difficult to believe. The reason is that his stomach is so flat. His stomach is flat, and he carries it away with humility. So I said, well, I don't know. Maybe Abba didn't do him very well. So, my brother, once again, I want to congratulate you. We admire you, and we continue to learn from your humility and integrity. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Prepared remarks on the citizen in public life that is broad relating to the man. Senator Boroface almost stole my thunder because, you see, the central thing that the author tried to do was to make good a desire to be a big man. And most of you are convinced that he's a big man. But I say he is not a big man. Senator Boroface made my point, stole my thunder when he made the point that his stomach is flat. Big men don't have flat stomachs. Author, you have some ways to travel if you want to be a big man. But very, very seriously, the book speaks to the challenge of nation building from how character is formed in a person. And I think that this is something that we should pay particular attention to. I like to think of Senator Enyinnaya Abaribe as representing the citizen in public life. And why is it important to look at the citizen in public life? It's because if you go back to the Greeks and how they see people in society, they have a broad categorization. At the bottom of society are people who think just of themselves. They care only for themselves. Their world is scoped around themselves. Me, myself, and I. And those kinds of people, the Greek philosophers referred to as idiots. It was not meant to be an insult as we use the word idiot. It just meant a limited human being, just limited to themselves. Further up the hierarchy are people who are comfortable with people who share kinship with them, people they know, And these people are generally called tribesmen. Tribes. It seems somehow we're lost in the world of tribes today in Nigeria, but it's not a Nigerian peculiarity. Even America has descended into tribalism. In fact, I'd like to make a point of the fact that American scholars, the ethnocentric ones particularly, used to refer to us back in those days as warring tribes. But what we saw in the last couple of months of the Trump administration was a degeneration to tribalism. And that disposition has been brilliantly captured by a Harvard professor called Joshua Green, who runs the Center for Moral Cognition at Harvard. And Joshua Green's book essentially focuses on this challenge of what he calls moral tribes, as he looks at the problem of reason and emotion and the gap between us and them. Our country is presently swallowed by an us and them view of the world. The visions are steep. We have become tribalists, worse than was the case many years ago. I like to tell people, as a 9-year-old, I traveled from Guzo in what is today's Zamfara State to Onitsha, unsupervised, alone. I got on a train from Guzo, got to Kaduna, changed trains, got to Enugu, got on a bus, and got to Onitsha to take the entrance exam into a secondary school. And I returned to Guzo. My parents did not worry, because they thought I would be okay. Today, if a 24-year-old man is going from Lagos to Abuja to do youth corps, his mother follows. That is the tragedy of what it is to become tribesmen. So in this descent, we can ascend from tribesmen to the next level, and that level is the citizen. The citizen who looks at our common humanity, who looks at the common good, who is focused on how to advance the common good of all. In very clear ways, to me, Senator Enyinnaya Abaribe is one of the few politicians from the Southeast who is truly a citizen in public life. And I speak truth to power always. And I like to give us an example, and there's a paradox in this example I want to give. In 1999, Ojuzo Kalu was elected governor of Abia State. And the elders, the intellectual leaders of Abia, had a reception at the Golden Gate Hotel in Lagos to welcome their incoming governor. Professor Joe Iruku, Professor Yuyu Uche were amongst those who organized that. And we got to the event, and everybody was hailing, and I got very upset. Of course, it reached my turn to speak. And I turned to Oji, and I used your name, unfortunately, not meaning you. I said, Eyi, if you get to Umuahia and misbehave, you will hear from me. And when the deputy governor things were going on, he heard from me. And this is how citizens are supposed to engage the state, public officials. Because we have not built up citizens, there's a gulf between those who are in public life and the Nigerian people, and it has not helped us to develop. Because people in public life separate themselves from the people. Enyinnaya Abaribe continually returns to the people and speaks for the people. And I think that this makes him a unique citizen in public life. I'm being told time is up. I don't come from Lagos to Abuja to speak for 1 minute. So I'm going to take 3 more minutes. Not a lot. Just 3 more minutes. I think that is important for us when we're dealing with these matters. The way that society has evolved and democracy has evolved. One of the great scholars and philosophers of democracy and modernity is a German called Jürgen Habermas. And Jürgen Habermas makes the point that at the center of modernity and democracy is rational public conversation. In our country, we are not managing to have rational public conversation. We just trade insults. And this has not enabled us to articulate a path forward for our country. So when Senator Abaribe asked the question, why was yesterday better than today? It's because we are not having rational public conversation. And an example that confuses me, and pardon me because I'm a simple person, I'm a simpleton in some manner of speaking. We're told that there's insecurity in the country, and we should grab these people and challenge them. After all, they have only 3 bullets or so in their guns. I say, well, that's fine. For years, I've been saying to the private sector in the Southeast and the South-South that they should organize security networks to defend their economic interests. You can have an agriculture ranger defense league to protect your farms. I have lost 2 farms, devastated completely. I've said to the industrialists, create industrial parks that you can invest in and create security networks to protect the parks. And then I hear that some people have created one in the Southeast and is being attacked. And I ask myself, where is the confusion? Where is the rationality in this kind of conversation? And so, I say our country is challenged, and I'll close here. It's challenged in many ways, but more importantly, it's challenged by the collapse of character in public life. There's a secondary school in Owerri whose anthem I got to know many years ago and adopted because it was so beautiful. It's Government Secondary School Owerri. Work hard, play hard. When wealth is lost, nothing is lost. And my favorite example that I give of this is Donald Trump. Until he became president, I used the video that he used to teach at the Lagos Business School for many years. Trump was coming out of the subway in New York and saw a homeless man just across the street and says, my goodness, that guy is worth more than me. At least he's worth 0. I am worth less than 0. Trump had just gone bankrupt. A few years later, he was back a billionaire. And he went bankrupt again and again. So when wealth is lost, nothing is lost. When health is lost, something is lost. And you go to a brilliant man who took Apple to where it is, Steve Jobs. And Steve Jobs was dying, had all the money in the world, but could not stop the onrush of death in early life. But when character is lost, all is lost. The crisis of our country is a crisis of a loss of character. And I thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much. Permit me to just say, Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Well, my good friend Senator Sori, who just spoke before me, he said, Senator Abaribe, we look forward to seeing you as majority leader. I don't know what you expect me to say. All I will say is that we'll wait and see. But having said that, I'm very excited to be here. Senator Abaribe, congratulations. And through you to your wife, your dear wife. Senator Abaribe is my friend, my colleague. We were together in the Senate, even though he came in after me in 2007. And of course, it would interest you to know that he is also my neighbor. He's one man who speaks from the conviction of his conscience. And he leaves no one in doubt as to where he belongs on an issue. He's a man that does not waver when it comes to standing by what he believes in. He's a man of strength. And it takes a man of strength to do the kind of things that he does. A few times I will call him. I will say, "Hey, be careful. You are giving us too much of punches." He will say, "Mamu, now you teach us now." I said, "No, I didn't teach you that one." But seriously, I cannot agree less with those who have said that it's good to write your own story. When you leave it for some other people, the tendency is for adulteration to come in. And I'm happy that we are celebrating you today. And I made it a point of duty that I must be here to celebrate you because you deserve to be celebrated. Particularly when you are still alive. When we can still see you, we can feel you. Let it be on record that you're doing what you need to do, not for personal reasons, for the good of us all. Senator Abaribe, I say once again, congratulations. And we will remain what we are, good friends. Thank you very much.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Senator Abaribe said he wanted to be a big man. And everybody was saying that he is already a big man. But fortunately for me, I was seated by his wife. So when they said he is now a big man, Prof said, without a big stomach. But Madam said, without money. I mean, when Senator Abaribe got to me that he wants me to review his book, I knew that he was going to celebrate his birthday. When politicians write book, it's to celebrate birthdays. But mostly it's when they are either 50 or 60. And then I saw the title, Made in Aba. I said, this man was very audacious. The Aba that some of us know, we all know that in Nigeria, Nigerians don't like to buy local things. So we are used to buying things from abroad. So when you talk about made in Aba, I mean, there is a feeling that you are not buying something that is original. And there is a story to that. I remember a few years ago, it was Bishop Kuka who told the story. A man left his family and traveled abroad to a far country. He was there after a few years. He wrote his mom that he had found a lady that he wants to marry. And the lady is from that country. After a few more months, he said he had already married. Then one day, he called his mom that my wife just delivered a bouncing baby boy. So the whole time the mom was celebrating, everybody was celebrating. And then on the 8th day, the mother decided to invite people over for get together. I mean, we'll name if you can do your name in there, we'll do our name in here. And as they were having the ceremony, she got a call from the son. What happened? Said the boy just died. The mother said, hey, and they warned me that the thing where they produce for that country, no, they last. But Senator Abaribe is a made in Aba original. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, allow me to dispense with protocols on a day such as this. We have only known each other from a distance and mostly by reputation. But when Senator Abaribe asked me to review his biography, I did not hesitate. I have followed Senator Abaribe's political career for 2 decades, from his days as an embattled deputy governor in Abia State to his current sojourn in the Senate, where he has become one of the most respected voices. I have always admired his courage of conviction, as well as his ability to put his finger on the flaws and follies of the nation. So it is no surprise that Made in Aba, a life of coincidences, goes beyond his personal story. It also serves as a mirror with which we can view Nigeria. Representing Abia South Senatorial District in the National Assembly, Abaribe is without doubt a household name across Nigeria, a distinguished senator in the truest sense of that most abused turn of phrase in our country today. The quality of his contributions to plenary debates is exceptional. Even when you do not agree with him, and on some issues, I don't, you cannot question the clarity of his thought and his abiding faith in a country that works for everyone. That perhaps explains why this book is so significant, and I have read it. Made in Aba reflects not only the personal struggles of Abaribe, it captures, even if only in brief, critical aspects of Nigerian history. In the main, it is a catalogue of coincidences that have helped to shape the life and career of a brilliant and enigmatic politician. Divided into 10 chapters, Made in Aba begins with the account of Abaribe's birth into an average family and his formative years in the rustic town that holds a special place in the hearts of many Igbo people. Instructively, at age 5, when his peers dreamt of being doctors, lawyers, engineers, and pilots, Abaribe was asked what he would like to be in future. He replied simply that he wanted to be a big man. Even as a child, Abaribe knew that doctors, lawyers, and all those professionals work for big men. With the crowd of eminent personalities here today, it is evident that his dream has been realized. But he actually attained that status a long time ago as a manager in SCOA. After any distinction, the highest class in the West African Examination Council results in 1974, Abaribe was offered admission into one of the nation's foremost universities, right in his backyard, the University of Nigeria in Nsukka. Shortly before resumption, he saw an advertisement by the University of Benin calling for fresh students in the new Department of Economics, the same discipline to which he had been admitted by UNN. Out of a sense of adventure, or perhaps just a rebel, Abaribe went to Benin, submitted his application, and was immediately offered both admission and a scholarship. That speaks to a Nigeria where what you know is more important than who you know. But why that promise has been circumscribed, it is not the issue for today. After earning a master's degree in economics, Abaribe was recruited by the neighboring Bender State University, Ekoma, that had just been established by the Second Republic Governor, Ambrose Ali. He had been enticed to the university with the promise of scholarship to study abroad that would fully prepare him for life in academia. But things did not turn out that way. Abaribe did not get the scholarship, which the institution chose to award only to sons of the soil. Also a typical Nigerian story we have to overlook for today. With that disappointment, Abaribe's excitement with academia began to wane. He responded to an advertisement for a job in Lagos, and after a process that included a test and interview, he was employed. When Abaribe left Ekoma for Lagos, he also abandoned the doctorate degree program he had almost concluded at the University of Benin. He joined the corporate world as a manager at SCOA, where his exploits were also remarkable. It was from there that fate, what he termed coincidence, propelled him into politics. Abaribe had contested for a House of Representatives seat under the transition program of the late General Sani Abacha and failed. When Abacha died, and there was a reset in the political transition by General Absalami Abubakar, Abaribe wanted to contest again for the same seat. but he ended up being smooth-talked into accepting the position of Abia State gubernatorial running mate in the 1999 election that ushered in the People's Democratic Party. The man who did the smooth talking based on the code calculation of Abia's Joe ethnic configuration is none other than Chief Orji Uzor-Kalu, who took advantage of Abaribe's apparent political naivety. I laughed out loud when I read Abaribe's account of how he was hoodwinked into believing he was going to run the Abia administration as a technocrat, while the governor would merely provide the political gravitas. Such naivety. Meanwhile, as an insider who was a high-ranking public official at the state level, before becoming a high-ranking federal lawmaker, Abaribe is in a position to see the nakedness of Nigeria. And in many areas of this book, he gives readers interesting glimpses. He recounts and confirms the remarkably reckless manner in which government operates in our country, the idleness, the unnecessary oath of loyalty demanded not to serve the people, but to massage some fragile egos, the arrogance of power, and perhaps even worse, the rumor-mongering tradition that has been elevated almost to the level of a constitutional order. Incidentally, the inspiration for Made in Aba arose from an experience in year 2000, while preparing for the burial of his father. Abaribe discovered mementos and documents that told compelling stories that he and his siblings had no inkling of. While their father must have shared fragments from his life at different times, as Abaribe recalled, he never mentioned receiving medals in Burma as a soldier during the Second World War, or that he had an intermediate certificate in accounting by correspondence from a London school in 1944. The more Abaribe discovered things he never knew about his father, the more he wondered why the man never documented the drudgery and pains that must have confronted him for posterity. With that, Abaribe resolved that he was going to document his own story. Abaribe's account of his days as deputy governor in Abia State is quite revealing. Deputy governors, Nigerians have been conditioned to believe, are mere spare tires. His own situation was worse. He served in a state where the Oga at the top demanded almost as an article of faith that the subordinates crawl on the ground and lose their dignity in order to receive their entitlement. Ironically, as it most often happens in such instances, things that ought to be done for the progress of the people are left undone. In the 1960s, for instance, as the author noted, Aba, the commercial capital of the state, like similar cities across the country, had pipe-on water and a fairly good supply of electricity. But now he asks, why was modern living possible back then and near impossible now? With rich Igbo idioms and interesting anecdotes, Abaribe makes his story compelling by weaving in commentaries, and there are many lessons to take from the narrative. During the Second Republic, for instance, his father supported the Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe-led Nigerian People's Party, while his mother was a sympathizer of the National Party of Nigeria, which produced Alhaji Shehu Shagari as president. That speaks to tolerance and accommodation, virtues to which Abaribe subscribes. Abaribe deplores the notion of going into politics as a profession without any other daytime job, and he explains why. As is to be expected of an Igbo man of his generation, there are also accounts of the Civil War from the eyes of the young boy he then was. But perhaps the most interesting aspects of the book are chapters 6 and 7, which deal with his foray into politics, how he ended up as the Abia State Deputy Governor, and what followed thereafter. In the two chapters, Abaribe offers real glimpses into public service in Nigeria, how politics is, for most of the practitioners, not about public service, but rather about the pursuit of personal interest. From his Lagos to Enyinnaya Chisco bus night ride in 1988 with Chief Orji Kalu, where they had an interesting conversation about contesting on a Kalu Abaribe ticket to the 1999 gubernatorial election and the drama of the swearing-in day, discerning readers can see how hollow our politics is and how easily clever politicians can overpower the system. In flowing prose, Abaribe painted a pathetic picture of Abia under Ojikalu, a period when many young people from the state were made to worship not only on the altar erected by the governor, but also the more powerful one in which Mother Excellency was the deity. As Abaribe succinctly put it, Kalu and his mother became two gods. As a student of power who followed events in the state at that period, I always marveled at how Abia coped with a strong man like Kalu in charge, yes, sharing the limelight with an overbearing mother whose word was also law. Abaribe sheds light on how both the governor and Mother Excellency were clever in ensuring that neither encroached on the other's sphere of influence, as they, and I quote, they tossed people back and forth between them like ping-pong balls. For 8 years, the tag team of Kalu and his mother held Abia State by the jugular. Abaribe provides insight on how they were able to do it. And he was not only a witness to the machinations, he was also a victim. Within a period of less than 4 years that he spent as deputy governor, Abaribe faced 3 impeachment proceedings that were authored by the governor and for which the charges were mostly ridiculous. On the first occasion in November 1999, the House of Assembly failed to convict Abaribe because Kalu could not secure the required number. On the second occasion, a year later, the proceedings, according to Abaribe's account, were supervised directly by Mother Excellency, who had reportedly boasted that the first attempt failed because she was out of town. At the end, she also failed because the decisive vote in the House of Assembly was both for and against Abaribe. In one of those it can only happen in Nigerian moments, a member whose vote turned out to be decisive wrote both yes and no, and with that, Abaribe survived, but only just. Ostracized from all state functions, Abaribe remained deputy governor only in name. However, while all interventions by political leaders, including President Olusegun Obasanjo, Governor Adamu Buasu of Bauchi State, and the late Chief Anthony Anini failed, Abaribe on 7th March 2003 decided to resign from office. But neither the governor nor Mother Excellency would allow Abaribe to leave office on his terms. There was a public announcement on Abia State Radio that day that Abaribe had been impeached. In the 2 chapters titled Swimming Deep End Among Sharks and 1 Term 3 Impeachments, Abaribe laid bare some of the bizarre happenings in Abia State between 1999 and 2003 when he left office as deputy governor. Kalu, in Abaribe's book, will promise one position to no fewer than 6 persons and will play all of them against one another with no guarantee that any will be offered the job at the end of the day. But Abaribe does not sound bitter. In fact, he somehow exonerates both Kalu and his mother from most of the shenanigans to which the people subjected themselves at that period in Abia State. After all, as a former American First Lady, Eleanor Roosevelt, surmised, nobody can make you inferior without your consent. In Made in Aba, Abaribe also reveals some of the dark aspects of politics in Nigeria. He narrates how he was made to swear before a prophet who, after reading verses from the Bible, insisted on Igbandu, a pact or ritual oath of loyalty, not to the public whose interests were to be served, but to the Godfather, in this case, Orji Kalu. It is indeed interesting that both Kalu and the man he used to bully are now in the upper legislative chambers as principal officers. I will surely love to be a fly on the wall at such meetings involving the duo. Maybe we will hear from Kalu very soon. Before I take my seat, let me state that Made in Aba is more than an account of the failures of government in Umuahia and Abuja. It is also a tribute to the enterprising character of Indigo. Even their most implacable foes will consider that Igbo people are hard workers an attribute that is perhaps traceable to their republican nature. In modern times, as the author noted, many Igbo sons and daughters have continuously featured at the top, be it in commerce, education, and all other spheres, home and abroad. Indeed, by all measures of success in Nigeria today, Indigo have done remarkably well for themselves. But then, Abaribe asked, and these are his exact words, given all the advantages that we as Indigo have in Nigeria, why the clamor by our youth and others for a separate state of Biafra? While he speaks to the mismanagement of post-Civil War issues, Abaribe locates the current problem in the Freudian slip by President Muhammadu Buhari shortly after assuming office in 2015, that those who gave him 5% of the votes in the election that brought him to power should not expect the same attention and patronage as those who gave him 97% of the votes. That the distribution of opportunities in the past 6 years has followed that formula to the disadvantage of Igbo people is what the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, and its sympathizers use as excuse for their campaign, according to Abaribe. But this, Abaribe also argues, is a temporary problem, since President Buhari will not be in power forever, using another Igbo adage to explain his reasoning. 100 years is not the same as forever. In the last chapter, where the author indulged himself in self-praise, he reminds us that Igbos continue to carry scars and a deep memory from Nigeria's struggles to create an equitable country. They have traversed a diverse country and are to be found settled all over Nigeria. In the face of prevailing circumstances, where there's a constant cry of marginalization, they also, like the former Ohanese President, Chief Enyinnaya, wisely counseled that Indigo should negotiate their place in a restructured Nigeria, where power is devolved to the federating units. He pokes holes in the clamor for succession by IPOB and the manner the operatives demonize respective Igbo citizens who disagree with their separatist agenda. In all, this is one of the few books written by a Nigerian politician that I have enjoyed. I have many in my study that I could not read beyond the first 2 pages. Abaribe is a good record keeper. The documents splashed in the book help to enrich his narrative. Despite a few typographical errors here and there, it's been a pleasure reading through the 241 pages and accompanying appendices of 80 pages. But this is an incomplete book. Abaribe there is nothing about Abaribe's experience in the Senate, where he has spent the past 14 years. Abaribe is one of the few lawmakers in Abuja today who must know where all the legislative dead bodies are buried. Given his candor, I don't want to impute that Abaribe left out those details because he is observing the Nigerian table manners of don't talk while eating. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let me conclude by stating that this is a fascinating book. I wholeheartedly recommend it for all those who seek a better understanding of our country and its politics. As Dr. Chidi Amuta stated in one of the 2 forewords, Abaribe has managed to rise above the narrow personal undertaking of just his life story to reflect on what he considers the Nigerian ideal. And that is precisely why this book is important. In the end, Made in Aba reminds us of the consequences of the choices not made, roads not taken, and the injustices that define the character of the Nigerian state, for which we are all paying a price. The sad reality is that this is a heavy price we did not have to pay at all. Thank you very much for listening. Good afternoon.
Thank you very much, sir, for the book review.
Well, I think it's simple. Let me invite His Excellency, the host governor and governor of Abia State.
After listening to this book, yes, I move that you are able to write a book. Yes.
Okay, let us invade the book first. I call on all that are here to just hold it. Everybody on the name of that wonderful name,
One shot without the mask. 30 seconds. Have you taken this one? Yes. One shot. Okay. 30 seconds. Mask off. Quick. 1, 2, go. Go ahead. Okay. Thank you. The Minister from Health is here.
Absolutely, we just throw words at each other and completely miss the issues that should affect the nation. You know, I agree with him completely.
How do we proceed from here as a nation?
Well, I think we must begin by from the trainings we get at home. You know, character is built from the home. It is not something you acquire when you are now in public life. And I think that that is something that is completely missing. You know, you just see people occupying positions, but when they are tested, their essence is totally lacking. That is the character we are talking about.
One of the biggest challenges facing this country now is that of insecurity. Do you think the approach being used by even federal and state governments is addressing this issue? What more can be done?
Let me answer that question by using the example of the UAE. That was just a few years ago was complete desert. Today they are in space. We are still contending with header-farmer clashes several years after. It is said, and it is on record, that up to 1965, the King of Saudi Arabia was coming to UCH Ibadan for his medicals. They have moved on. We have regressed.
How do we address this going forward?
We must be honest that we want a nation. We must be selfless in our approach. First, like Professor Patu Tomi said, we must be citizens, not idiots or tribesmen.
Thank you very much.
Nigeria has become a heartbreaker. I don't know what happened to Nigeria. I don't know what happened to us. I don't know how we lost this country. This used to be a beautiful country. But what I see now is so terrible that it's difficult for some of us to even begin to comment. Pat is right. Everybody psychologically has gone back to his village. You're either Fulani or Hausa or Igbo and whatever it is. I think the government needs to do something major to get a handle on this situation. The strategy of silence in the face of outrageous, indescribable crimes cannot work. And I think it has something to do with, this whole psychological orientation that everybody is pinned down on. We need to do some serious talking, serious conversations. And the president cannot isolate himself so completely from the people, from what's going on, and expect the outcome to be good. He should try, for God's sake, to come out, to reach out to the people, to even show us that he feels, that he knows what is going on, that he's worried about what is going on, and that he feels for the people. Nigerians don't want this country to fall apart. But I think that what is happening is, pushing it towards that direction. And if he wants this place to hold together, let him step forward. A little bit of stretching his hand forward to his children as a father of the nation to say, come, let us sit down and talk. It must happen if this place is going to hold. Otherwise, everybody is psychologically ready for whatever outcome comes.
Thank you very much. Tribesmen are not citizens.
Well, you can see that that's what it is actually today, where you have a situation where even what is enshrined in our national constitution, national character, is every day being infringed on, where people are now doing things, based on their tribes and everything, persecuting others, rather than looking at the global thing that we're Nigerians, that whatever is happening should affect us collectively as a people, and we should be able to work hard as a people.
How do we address this problem?
It's a very simple thing. One is to ensure that things are done with justice. For you to build anything, you have to be just. Follow strictly the letters of the Constitution. Follow strictly what it means, and then be conscious of the fact that we're living in a country where people are suffering, people are employed, a lot of people are living in extreme poverty. Like I mentioned today, that we can have a different role where even our own measure within an MBS says that if you earn 137,430 naira annually, if you spend that it is enough. When it's globally maintained that is $1.90, which is about 900 naira a day. We need to look at what are the other countries doing, which is not difficult, and we'll do the same thing. Let us start looking at how to lift up people, not looking down on them. We must look down to lift them up and lift them out of poverty, put food on people's table. That is what we should be striving at, and doing things justly, now to build a nation.
So true federalism be a solution to this?
It is part of it. True federalism is critical because we have to respect every area. Every area have to live their own life, be able to, in their own, build their own resources, manage their resources, and then contribute in building a center that everybody will appreciate.
So finally, I'd like to ask you a question about the insecurity that's happening in the country. We're talking about how true federalism tries man and the pace of the citizen. Now, we're seeing what's happening with our kids that are going to school. We're seeing what's happening majorly in the part of the world. Where is the government getting it wrong? Where did we have it good in the past that we are...
When you talk about security, security is local. Security is state, so you start from local government to from the community to the local government to the state to the police. I, as a governor, I made sure that every community is protected. I provided them what it means to provide their own community, provide the amenities, schools, everything that's within their own community. Move similar thing to the local government, to the state, and to the federal. You can't just have a situation where we have now, where everything is controlled from the center. It will not work. We need to redesign it. And we need to see security as a challenge of all. And I've always said, in fighting security, let's deal with the issue of poverty. If you don't know where the next meal is going to come from, you're a criminal. It is important. The more you provide people with jobs, more people have access to livelihood, you are reducing crime. In any society, economy has been used to fight crime. You can't be throwing people into poverty and expect them to have security. It's critical.
Now that we're here already, what do you say about the government's approach to pay ransom to secure release of people?
It's unacceptable. The best thing for you is to start creating jobs. And creating jobs is to support small businesses, support those who are doing nothing. You know what you're doing by paying ransom? It's the same thing that we're doing in government. People are making money without being productive. So you're actually creating an anarchy. People are making money without being productive. What is the production to the society for a kidnapper, for somebody who is in banditry, for ESMA? What is it for profit? So if you make money without being productive, it's an anarchy. It's like people who are also stealing government money and everything. We can't continue a country where people are making money without being productive.
What of the call for amnesty for bandits, which is being mooted across some parts of the country?
Well, I don't know about that. I think I've said it before. People must make money with production. It is bad enough that we are borrowing money and throwing it into consumption. You are now insane paying people without being productive. So if I kidnap you, I'm going to be paid money. So you're asking everybody to go into kidnapping. People are being owed salary for working. And you're paying somebody for kidnapping. The rest is for you to take.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
The biggest takeaway, I think, is that you can be anything from small beginnings. The biggest takeaway is that if you work hard, if you are committed, and if you put truth in front of everything that you do, you will go places. And I think that is what is singularly lacking today, because the impression is being given that you always have to cut corners. And I think that part of what I put this book down for is to let everybody know that things will always go well for you if you're patient, if you're steadfast, if you stand for the truth, and at all times, if you're not afraid to be able to state your mind in this country.
How do you react to the Nigerian state happening to you? So for example, you just mentioned patience, perseverance, but these are things that you said in the book yourself happened during a time when things were better. Today, Nigeria can happen to you and happen to anybody at any time. The one dream of the Nigerian youth is how you should leave the country. That wasn't what was happening at your time. How can we...
I don't understand. If you say the one dream of Nigerian youth is who will lead the country,
No,
I don't think.
To leave the country. To leave outside the country.
Oh,
outside the country.
okay.
We're having brain drain every day. So how does this patient perseverance, how do we do that, staying here and preventing Nigeria from happening to you?
Well, I think what you will want to do is to be able to bring in the leaders that will make Nigeria the type of place that will make us not to go away. And I think that leadership is available, and that unfortunately we have always made wrong choices. And that all I can tell Nigerian youth and Nigerians in general is, when the opportunity presents itself, make the right choice. Do not make a choice based on sentiment. Do not make a choice based on where you come from. Do not make a choice based on, oh, it's from my church or it's from my religion. Make the right choice of the person who is committed to your welfare, and that will take us places.
So the thing with does that take away the place of zoning, which is like central messenger? If you are saying we should vote based on merit and not based on where you are from,
especially since the Igbos voted for who they think should be there, because then it got them into the trouble.
No, you're misunderstanding my message. Okay. Zoning does not mean also that the right people are not also there. Zoning can always include making sure that you also take cognizance of the fact of merit in everything that you do. Thank you.
Thank you very much.